Good afternoon. Welcome to Midcap Radar. I'm Sonal Bhutra. With me is Vivek Iyer. A green-looking screen, a massive recovery from the lows is what is underway. So looking good for the screen so far, but a lot to catch up on and a conversation on the show as well today, Vivek.
Right. Bulls are breathing a sigh of relief given the fact that after such a weak start, after the IT hollow that we saw from Accenture yesterday, there's been a strong bounce back. But first, let's have a look at the headlines. Stocks bounce back after a weak start. Realty, pharma and auto are the top gainers, while IT is the big drag. Mid-caps trade in line with larger peers.
Sada Energy and Minerals jumps nearly 13% after its joint venture subsidiary, Natural Resources Energy, gets awarded a letter of intent for a composite license for one iron ore block in Maharashtra.
Bengaluru-based Prestige Estates buys over 62 acres in NCR's Indrapuram for 468 crore rupees to build an integrated township with a development potential of 10,000 crores. The stock perks up following the big bet.
Bharat Dynamics board approved stock split in 1:2 ratio, interim dividend of 8.85 rupees per share announced as well. The stock is higher by 2%.
Amber Enterprises surges over 4% after CLSA upgrades the stock to a buy and raises the target to 4,300 rupees a share from 4,130. Adds that the recent correction in the stock price is an attractive entry point.
Okay, 97 points higher on the Nifty. The Midcap is supporting as well. That's an outperformer actually today. The Midcap index is up 265 points. That's a 0.6% gain. And across the board, we are seeing markets at the day's high right now. So the momentum, we'll see whether that continues or not. But looks like the recovery that has come in from the lows is something which is despite the IT fall that we've seen today. In terms of gainers, Nifty Auto, that is doing really well, up 2.2%. We have Nifty Realty, which has bounced back as well. So yes, the texture of the market looking good ahead of the long weekend as well. So looks like bulls are celebrating already.
Absolutely. Now, when you're talking about, the kind of bounce back that we saw in the market from the intraday lows, two sectors, stand out. The first one, the Realty Pack. Realty Pack, last couple of trading sessions, after the steep fall that we saw prior to that, has bounced back quite sharply. Have a look at names like Prestige, Soba, Brigade. All of these stocks also amongst the top gainers in the Nifty 500. Midcap IT continues to drag, but, we have a special segment, Midcap Movers, where we have Hormaz to take us through the midcaps that are moving around in the session. Hormaz, over to you.
The bulls are indeed celebrating a long weekend, and the broader markets are reflective of that. We'll start off with the top gainers in the broader markets. And Vodafone Idea is leading the pack over there in today's trading session. And the erstwhile favorite of the bulls, IRFC, is also joining that list today, almost 6% higher as we speak at the day's high now. Indus Towers is also up 4% since we spoke of Vodafone Idea. Laurus Labs and Yes Bank are completing that list. You highlighted about real estate stocks, and as the broader markets move, high beta stocks are moving faster, and Brigade Enterprises, after the Kotak upgrade, is up 5%. Prestige Estates a 4.5% move there, as is the same is the case with Sobha. But there's a bit of traction seen all through this week in some of these market/brokerage linked names, and CDSL is one of them. Is at the day's high as we speak. CAMS is up 6%. Angel One continues to grow from strength to strength as well. We're 2.75% move there. Some stocks moving on the back of strong volumes, and Lakshmi Organics is the stock that is topping the charts. They're 8.5% higher. All Cargo is up 12%. Carborundum and Symphony as well, seeing gains of between 5 to 7% in today's trading session. And in some of the underperformers for today, Tata Investment, another lower circuit today. So 9 out of 10 sessions now has been a lower circuit of 5%. CG Power down 3%. Piramal Pharma and LG Equipments also trading at the lowest point of the day as we speak.
Okay, all right. So those are some stocks from the broader markets which are moving around on the upside and the downside as well. Let's talk about one more such stock, Cosmo First. That's the stock on our radar today. Now, Kotak put out a note today where they spoke about how the spreads or the prices of BOPP film has increased by 10% on a month-on-month basis. This is potentially good for a stock like SRF, but of course, Cosmo First is also in the packaging segment. They also say the raw material polypropylene prices, they've also risen in recent months. We've been talking about crude prices rising as well. So let's try and understand the impact of all this. Pankaj Podar, the CEO of Cosmo First, is joining us now. Mr. Podar, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, the last time we were speaking, we spoke about how the supply-demand scenario in the films business is not matching so much. Considering the Kotak note today, can you give us a sense of whether there has been a price rise in BOPP and BOPET? I know you're not so much in BOPP, but just a sense of pricing.
Yeah, hi. Cosmo is largely a BOPP film producer and seller. And yes, BOPP, the demand supply is fairly balanced. And, obviously, as the demand continues to go up, whatever little oversupply was there is getting covered. And then even the exports have started picking up because of demand coming up from most parts of the world. And as you rightly pointed out, yes, the prices for BOPP have started correcting, have gone up, though obviously there's still, a significant potential for them to go up further.
Okay, sorry, I meant to say that you're largely into BOPP and not BOPET so much. But when you're talking about prices going up, how much have they risen by, and is it seen in spreads as well?
Yeah. So the spreads have actually gone up. Yes, you're right. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Poddar. So, at the end of Q3, what you had mentioned was that, the domestic margins for both the BOPP as well as the BOPET had shrunk significantly due to below cost selling by the industry. So has that phenomenon stopped? Will we see an immediate margin improvement in Q4? And what is the outlook that you have for FY25?
So these have started going up only last few days. Yes, BOPP is seeing a traction. Even BOPET, some correction has come, but it's still marginal, I would say. So as far as the BOPET is concerned, at least, earlier they were making losses, at least at a variable cost level now. They are kind of break even at a variable cost level, but still the overheads have to be covered when it comes to BOPET. When it comes to BOPP, I would say that they are coming more towards EBITDA break even when we talk about commodity business. But this is only a recent phenomena. And as I said, there's still a very significant potential for these to go further in the coming quarters.
While you're talking about a price rise, we've seen crude prices rising as well. Polypropylene prices have gone up. So when you say spreads have gone up, is it commensurate to the price rise, or is there a lower spread that you're getting?
No, the spread has started to improve. Polypropylene, I would say...
By how much would that be?
By roughly 10%, as you're showing on the screen. So they have gone up by roughly 10%.
Okay. But you were making a point. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so what I was saying is, as far as Cosmo is concerned, our focus is largely on specialty when it comes to BOPP and BOPET both. And even on BOPET, we continue to pick up on our specialty sales, which is our recent business where we are more into shrink labels and we are about to launch window films. And then we have some other specialties when it comes to polyester. And so both are showing an improvement. Polyester, we still see the supply side to be more than demand, but there also we see a demand going up, and therefore, to some extent, we have started seeing that prices are getting better. BOPET, obviously, because oversupply is there, so we see not such a, I would say, as far as Cosmo is concerned, it will go more because of specialty than the market pricing as such. But our main exposure is to BOPP, where the pricing is up and our specialty sales is also going up.
That's good to hear. At the end of Q3, one thing that you did mention to analysts was the fact that there was substantial capacity addition that had happened in the industry, due to which, you had number one mentioned that the margin outlook for both the segments was something that was still remaining quite challenging. So now with prices going up, we expect that to inch higher. Now, along with that, you also had mentioned that there is a chance that deferred capacity could happen in terms of some players, deferring their expansion plans. So what is the on-ground trends, and do you have any expansion plans? What is the capacity utilization rate currently?
So when it comes to BOPP, the demand and supply is largely balanced. Obviously, there is some domestic demand growth, and then there are exports also, which has gone up from most of the players from India. And that is resulting in this kind of supply-demand matching up. When it comes to BOPET, there also we have seen the same trend where domestic demand is going up and there are more exports from the country. But we still see roughly, I would say, 10% mismatch between demand and supply as far as the BOPET is concerned. BOPET, there is not too much of capacity which is going to come up in the next 2 to 3 year period. There are still a couple of lines which are expected to come up. Some of them have already been deferred. They were supposed to be there last year or beginning of this year. But we are seeing that some better rationale is prevailing, where some of the players are intentionally deferring up their capacities. When it comes to BOPP, given that it is largely balanced, there are 2-3 lines expected to come up next year. One of them is Cosmo. And we do expect that during this period, the demand will continue to go up and there'll be room for these 2 or 3 lines to come up next year.
I think the demand was never a problem. It's just the oversupply which was impacting the prices as well. It's just come up from the super high levels that we saw during COVID. Mr. Poddar, you do have the other business, that's the pet care business, and that is something that that has seen improvement. So give us a sense of what the GMV has been. It increased to 4 crores versus 3.5 crores earlier. And what is the outlook going forward? 75 to 100 crore revenues. Is it possible in FY24 or that is the target for FY25?
No, FY25, the GMV, as we said last call, that we've reached 4 crores. We do expect that by the end of next year, they should be hovering around 5.5, 6 crores. Right now, we continue to make sure that, we work on the fundamentals step by step, make sure that our category is very strong, our retails are very strong. We are continuously focusing more on the vet services, which we feel is again very critical from this industry perspective. So we are focusing more initially to begin with more on the fundamentals, making sure that we really provide an excellent ecosystem to the customer. And once we have done all of this really well, then is the time that we will start saying that let's try to double, triple the sales every year. But even otherwise, we within last 2 years, we have reached to this level and we will continue to grow quarter on quarter, which is very clearly visible.
That's good to hear. Give us a sense of how is export demand shaping up? Has there been any resolution as far as the Red Sea issues are concerned? Have you seen an improvement in terms of exports? And has there been an increase in cost on account of all of the worries over there?
So, yes, the cost had gone up because of Red Sea. There was a couple of months when the transit times had also gone up. I think most of these things are getting corrected now. We do see some correction already in the freight cost, but they are not there where it should be. But what I personally feel is it's a matter of a month or 2 months when freight cost will get corrected. Obviously, when this issue happened, some of the export customers were worried. So what we saw was that specialty customers where they did not have a choice or they had limited choice, they were ordering more, while semi-specialty and commodity customers, they wanted to buy more locally because the transit times had gone up. But I would say most of these concerns are behind. And one of the other things which is happening very positive for the industry is that Europe was going through a lot of inflation earlier. And the same set of customers, because their income levels had not gone up, their demand had come down. Now, what we are seeing is that inflation is getting contained in these industries. And therefore, we see that customers in general have started buying back to their normal levels. And therefore, we are seeing a traction in the demand, even coming from Europe, which was, I would say, to some extent, was kind of the demands had gone down. And same trend we are seeing even in US, where the demands were relatively lower and they are getting back to normal. And once this Red Sea issue is totally behind us, then certainly we do see that even the demand will even get stronger from the current levels.
Okay. All right. Mr. Poddar, thank you so much for joining us and giving us all those details. So, yes, there is some price recovery that we are seeing in the BOPP and BOPT space, but crude prices are rising as well. So, we'll watch out for the margin picture. But we'll speak to you again after the Q4 numbers as well. That's the word coming in from Cosmo First. But with that, we'll move on. SMEs, they are the vital drivers of innovation and employment globally. Recognizing their crucial role within supply chains and the growing importance of sustainability, we are thrilled to announce a curated masterclass by HSBC presents CNBC-TV18 SME Champion Awards on 22nd March in Chennai. This transformative session offers SMEs insights into navigating sustainability regulations, seizing growth opportunities, capitalize on investor interest, and enhancing supply chain resilience to unlock potential and embrace a sustainable future. Don't miss this opportunity to propel your business forward and contribute to sustainable economic development. Register now and join to embrace a greener future.
Welcome back. Markets continue to trade near the day's highest point, especially the mid-cap and the small-cap indices. Let's now welcome Hemen Kapadia from KR Choksi for a technical check on the market. Good afternoon, Hemen. Hope you're doing well. What do you make of the markets currently? Do you see further buying traction, or do you see some resistance at higher levels, especially for the Nifty?
Very good afternoon to you, Vivek. Thank you for having me on the show. It's always a pleasure. The VIX has sub 13. I think that is good as far as bulls are concerned. And if the market has to go up, I mean, there's a good level. If it comes below 12, great. But even around this level, I mean, it's off from the 15 plus level, Vivek, a couple of weeks back. So it's slowly coming down. So that is good. But you're absolutely right. I think there is resistance at higher levels. 20 to 100, 20 to 200. There is significant resistance over here. We need to take this out. Having said that, we have 2 holidays next week, plus it's a monthly expiry, plus it's a year end. So frankly speaking, too many cross currents at the same time. So I wouldn't be too copacetic to taking a clear trending view at the moment, Vivek, because it's all over the place. Yes, one thing is clear, the markets are oversold and quite oversold. Many stocks are bouncing back. As of now, this bounce is a recovery and not a rally. To confirm a rally, Vivek, we'll need a few levels to be overcome, and we haven't yet reached there. And yes, IT is not performing, but we need Reliance, we need the Bank Nifty or something else to push the Nifty at higher levels. So I'd say currently stock specific, things are not so bad. And 21.9, 21.700, very strong supports. As long as they hold, I think we see stability coming in. As of now, I'd say neutral to slightly positive, Vivek.
Neutral to slightly positive. Hemen, good afternoon. Quickly, if you can tell us what are the stocks that you're trading?
Yes, good afternoon. I think firstly, a buy call on Aarti Industries, high top, higher bottom, above the 55-day exponential moving average. Mechanical indicators have given a buy, have given a crossover buy. So buy on 650, buy at 650, stop loss 625, target 700, risk reward ratio 1:2. Secondly, a buy call on Cholamandalam Investment. Rounding bottom and almost same logic. There have been volume spikes at lows. Those levels are held. So logic says that stronger hands are bought. Mechanical indicators have given a crossover buy. Stock has given hourly, 2 hourly, 4 hourly, 6 hourly. Everything seems to suggest we're on the cusp of a recovery. 1 second, it's a recovery, not a rally though. One can buy it at 1085, stop loss 1060, target 1135, risk reward ratio 1:2.
So, Hemen, the call from you is that, stocks as well as markets are seeing a recovery, not a rally. Thank you so much for your time. Wish you a good extended weekend. But let's now slip into a short break. We'll get you more on the markets and stock-specific action on the other side. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. You're still tuned into Midcap Radar. A wee bit of fall from the top. Nothing to be alarmed about, of course, but it is up around 81 points. That's on the Nifty. But broader markets are doing well. Sarda Energy is doing well in trade after its subsidiary Natural Resources Energy gets awarded a letter of intent for composite license. Nigel will tell us about that and about his weekend plans later on. Nigel.
Well, that's right. Sarda is up and about in today's trading session on news that the Natural Resources Energy Private Limited, which is their subsidiary in which they have 51% economic interest, well, they have got an LOI for composite license. Now, what have they got a green signal for? They've got the green signal for one iron ore block in the state of Maharashtra, and the approvals have come in from various departments from the state of Maharashtra itself. So we'll have to see what is the end use of this and how exactly it will have an impact on their financials. But for the time being, the stock has seen a sharp correction to around the 200 rupee odd mark. But post this news flow, well, the street likes it, and that's why it's up. Actually, we'll have to adjust that graph for I think a bonus or a split that was there. But otherwise, the stock has seen a sharp correction from the recent peak. For the time being, it's up and about in today's trading session. And I'm looking forward to a good weekend like all of you. I'm going to be taking my family to Karjat since you asked.
Okay, all right, interesting. So hope everyone has a great weekend. It's a long one. We have two long weekends coming up.
Right, you get into the weekend, Sonal. You have a good 3-day weekend.
And then 3 days you come to work.
And then you have another 3 days. Oh, it's the best time of the year.
Okay, all right.
Thank you so much for that, Nigel. Thanks for bringing us those details. Let's now focus on Happiest Minds technology. The company recently revamped its organization structure. new vertical organization structure comprises of 6 new industry groups. Earlier today, we spoke to Venkataraman Narayanan, the MD and CFO of the company, to discuss the company's business outlook going forward. Let's listen in to what he had to say.
Our goal is to reach $1 billion by 2031, which if you do a back of the envelope calculation, but we have done, some amount of simulation. It says that you will have to have about 600 customers with about $1.5 million of revenue per customer, which would mean that we touch that goal of $1 billion plus. So if you have to work towards that goal, you need to make sure that you go deeper into your existing set from 808,000 of an average revenue. We have to touch those million and then slowly ramp it up to $1.5 million.
Okay, that's Happiest Minds. But moving on, Garden Reach Shipbuilders is also in focus as the stock has gained nearly 81% in last 1 year. Company recently entered into a contract with the Indian Register of Shipping for the development of green energy and autonomous vessels. We caught up with PR Hari, the chairman and MD of the company, to discuss the warship orders and also the outlook going ahead. Let's listen in.
Our order book as on 31st December 23 is rupees 22,792 crores. And this comprises mostly of warship building orders, and we are currently executing 4 projects for the Indian Navy. The current order book, as I mentioned, is 22,792 crores, and as per our execution strategy, this order book will be executed. This 18 warships plus our balance orders will be executed by FY28.
Okay, all right. That's the word coming in from Garden Reach Shipbuilders. But with that, we'll take your leave on this edition of Midcap Radar. Stay tuned. Your stocks when we return.